Hello and welcome to another video. So today we are taking a look at an Elana Haven deck for Unlimited. Why not? Because Tenko Shrine seems to be conquering pretty hard, so these nice hybrid Elana Tenko decks do very well, especially in the Unlimited format where your heals are just much more prevalent and you can have a lot more bodies, which does take advantage of Elana quite nicely. Of course, there are straight Tenko decks in Unlimited as well, which do absolutely amazing, and there are a few variants of this deck, so don't be surprised there. I guess it's still a really nice card, although I haven't had to use him yet because most games are closed out purely just on the engine itself, so that's always really good. But we'll get right into it and check it out. So the first matchup is one of the easier matchups, which is against Blood. Blood is usually a class that you can overpower quite well. Of course, there are some control variants of Blood that have gave me a little bit of trouble with this deck, but then that also came down to draws, because of course, Haven does require at least a pretty reasonable draw in the most part to compete well. Especially in the Unlimited format where there's a lot more powerhouse cards that can be harder to deal with. And of course, if you come up against Beauty and the Beast or something of that sort, you're pretty much instantly dead. There is not a lot you can do in those sort of matches. Of course, Blood can go very wide, very fast, so playing something like Princess Snow White is much better against Blood and will secure you most games, as it does trade pretty much 3 for 1 against Blood, very easily. There is Bewitching Succubus, not really a problem. We go for the Amaterasu, that at least allows us to heal up a little bit. We still don't have our Tenko Shrine or our Elana yet, so it definitely does slow us down a little bit not having those, but we should be able to rely on the bodies and the heals to get us through. So they have gone very wide. We are going to be able to remove at least a minimum of 2 followers here. Unfortunately, we did end up getting our Tenko Shrine, which should work in our favour quite a bit. Being able to take advantage of this now, it does allow us to remove the bigger threats on their board. So it's definitely in our favour there. And of course, they're going to deal some serious damage, putting me to 6. Now all I can really do is try and heal up as best I can. I do go for the Moon and Sun. I've got basically a 1 in 4 chance of hitting what I want, which is the 2-1. Otherwise, I really want to avoid just hitting the 3-3. Which, we do get the perfect hit there. Even hitting the 1-1s would have been fine with me. I wouldn't have had a problem hitting any of those, as it still would have got us a really good result. There we go, they are going for the Bania with some bats, and an Evo on the Forest Bat. Not too big of a surprise, although I'm surprised they didn't go for a trade instead. So I do get a little unlucky there, hitting the 3-3 instead of anything else on the board. I took the chance though, that was going to be really effective if I had have hit it, but I can still deal with everything in another way. It just requires me to use my Evo instead of being able to kill everything quickly and easily. So it still works out in our favour quite nicely. So from here, all we really need to do would be keep our board up, and that's pretty much it. There is not a lot that Blood can do in this situation other than obviously try and kill Tenko Shrine, but even when they do, we're going to be filling the board with things repeatedly, so it's really not an issue. And since we have Aether of White Wing, now we can heal, because that will guarantee a pull on the Tenko. As long as Aegis isn't available, then Tenko is pretty much always going to be the pull. And that does lead to their concede, which isn't a surprise once Tenko hits the board. And our next game is against Portal. So Portal's another one of those decks that usually isn't too bad of a matchup for Haven, especially in Unlimited. It was really odd that I saw Portal in Unlimited, definitely not something I expected, so that's why I thought this was at least worth checking out for a match, as it was pretty interesting. You don't see a lot of Portal floating around in Unlimited normally, so to see it here was quite a shock. So there is the Goblin. I'm guessing they're going for an aggro Portal sort of deck, if they're running Goblins like that. Maybe even just a pure kind of puppet where they can go for the best things they can. So again, Snow White makes a great turn 1 against any kind of deck like Portal, Blood, Aggro Dragon, anything that could really cause small drops to hit the board quickly, as Snow White will soak up a lot of damage. So I do decide to hit the 2-1 just because I know I can weaken that down and kill the Goblin at the same time, which will allow us to at least trade pretty well. But we can pretty much follow up from here, since they did decide to just remove that, with our pretty straightforward White Fang Temple. You could also go for a Pegasus Sculpture, but White Fang Temple in this deck actually is better because you can easily proc it earlier, which frees up spots for Elana and allows you to get a 6/6 that Elana can buff, so it's always worth using that one in this kind of deck. If you were going for a straight Tenko Shrine deck, I would probably recommend Pegasus Sculpture over this in some cases. It would just be balancing out what you really want. So I do decide to remove the Saphira pretty quickly. Of course, that does mean the 4/1 is very easily killed here. But it was still going to be worthwhile for me. We do get the Tenko Shrine, which is perfect. This is going to let us clear both of these without an Evo. So I'm very happy with that.
The march goes on.
And of course, they go for Nicholas, so they're definitely running some form of puppet deck where they're just going for as much damage as they can as quickly as they can and kind of topping out. Which, I mean, is good for me, not so much for them, as this deck will handle this very well, being able to heal up any damage they do deal to us, so definitely worthwhile for me. And either boosting everything on board and allowing us to get the heals we want. Of course, that does mean the ping was guaranteed to hit that, but to remove it from the board, sure, we'll do it.
Was I helpful to you?
Oh, and that's a tight one. I mean, the Vera is not much fun. We don't want to be hit by that. Luckily, the Tenko gets to stick around, which is more than enough to really help us secure this game at this point. I mean, there's a guaranteed 10 damage just off this Tenko alone now. So, I mean, that's definitely not going to hurt. So, even if one Tenko sticks around here, we can pretty much call this game at that point. I mean, there's not much that they can really do. This Lloyd is not bad though. Being able to really block off my board is what they were going for, of course. That does require them removing the Tenko though. And luckily for us, we have Black Inscripture, which is guaranteed to kill this. We also could have just used the 1/3, that would have pretty much done it as well. But we did want that so we could go for lethal. So pretty perfect, honestly, for that matchup. So while this deck has done fairly well for me in Unlimited, I definitely do better with Rotation, just standard Tenko Shrine. We may cover the Unlimited version of Tenko Shrine in the next week or so, as it is a deck I do want to look at again, and we might even look at some different variants on Tenko hybrids with Lion in Rotation as well. So Haven's definitely being a very strong class at the moment, definitely something I recommend you guys play if you are looking to just purely climb ranks. If you aren't and looking for just some fun, there are plenty of other videos that I've got for you guys to check out. Otherwise, I do hope you did enjoy this video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You will find the deck list in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.